Alright, everybody, welcome to another week of Game Wisdom Live. This is for the week of March 1st, 2020. We survived the leap year. As always, I am Josh Blazer, and joining me is indie game developer Sharky. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. We're getting things together. Like, things are starting to pile up, kind of thing, and like it feels so bad to have kind of basically taken off the last week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah, and of course, the industry was going to be taking off in about a week or so, and that has been scuttled. As kind of the big news this week is that GDC has been postponed in light of the coronavirus.
Yep, the it's good reason. I mean, like, they should have definitely postponed it, if not held GDC in a different location.
And basically, they weren't going to do it right as soon as the virus was kind of like in the area. It took the major companies getting out, kind of like when schools close. You know, like your school is always the last one to close. Everybody else has to close before yours decides to do it. But yeah, depending upon who you are, this means either very much or very little to what you're doing in the industry. Because again, GDC is kind of like for the developer and like that side of the industry, like really the major trade show in the United States. PAX is more, consumer, commercially driven. E3 is trade show marketing. GDC is kind of for developers to talk to developers.
Yeah, GDC is developer to developer talk.
And a lot of those presentations are amazing too.
Yeah, a lot of them are. Some of them probably shouldn't have been made, but like a lot of them are amazing.
Yep. And for it to be, or as they're saying, infinitely postponed, definitely this happened, 2 weeks before, maybe a little less than 2 weeks before the actual event, means a whole lot of people are probably out hotel and travel expenses.
Yeah, that's got to be rough. Hopefully, a lot of people refunded and stuff before it got bad.
Yep. But it does raise a question about what is going to be coming next. There's rumor that it may come during the summertime, or if things are just, we're not going to have one this year.
Yeah, that's a good question, which we will not be finding out for a while, probably.
Yeah. And we were going to have a discussion about kind of trade shows and that, but I think we'll say that for a roundtable chat, because I think we need more eyes and ears on it.
Yeah, actually, I don't think we could. I think we'll have a GDC one way or the other. Now that I'm thinking about it, it'd just be delayed because the GDC YouTube channel can't afford to not have content to be put up.
Yeah. And right now, PAX I know is going on, so I mean that's great for the indie side. But there are a lot of big things coming out of GDC. Again, we have game reveals, the talks, the Game Developers Choice Awards. So a lot of stuff has kind of been distraught or thrown into chaos. And really, I think that's the major news bit for this week, unless anything else comes to mind.
Do we want to talk about the monetization one?
Yeah, that'll be our first major topic.
Well, I meant the monetization news
Oh.
thing with DOA.
Well, I think that will frame our talk when we get to it in a minute.
All right.
Let's see. Anything else going on? Longtime Call of Duty developer and co-studio head has left Treyarch. Let's see. Netflix is let's see. Netflix is suing about the whole choose your own adventure claim. And whether or not that phrase is copyrighted. Let's see. More plays have been canceled. There is a rumor now that Hideo Kojima may actually be working on a new Silent Hill game. But don't get my hopes up like that.
Yeah.
Oh, here's something that's interesting. GOG will now offer a 30-day refund policy for any games bought.
Oh yeah. That one's very controversial right now. Like, like some, it seems like a lot of developers are both pro and against it, and a lot of consumers are both pro and against it.
Yeah. I know. I followed Jeff Vogue on Twitter, and he is definitely for it.
Unless they are really, really, really tight with their monitoring and everything on it, it's a bad thing. But if they're tight with their monitoring and they keep up with it and prevent people from, abusing the system, then yeah, it'll be good. But, I don't know if we can trust them to be that tight on it. We can't even trust the ESA to be tight on basic information.
Oh, yes.
So, can we trust GOG to be super, super duper tight on the, preventing abuse in like thousands of different ways?
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think, and honestly, I think 30 days, I think 2 hours may be too small of a window depending upon the game, but I think 30 days is a little too long. I think ultimately this comes back to what we said the last time we had this discussion, that it should be handled on either like a genre by genre or a game by game basis.
It really needs to be handled on a game by game basis, in my opinion. Because, like, every game needs to be played, found at the length, and then based on that length, give it some cookie cutter amount of time.
Yeah.
And, have that time be pretty much an absolute for the most part, with few exceptions, and have give them X amount of time to achieve that time. And I don't know about that time, but maybe 30 days. I don't know, but like it still needs to have that hard hour limit, but that hard hour limit needs to be based on a case by case basis.
Yeah, like something like that Bloody Trains game we looked at on the Spotlight. That we figured out within about 3 minutes whether or not we were going to like it or not. But something like Ancestors, Stellaris, pick any Paradox Interactive game. You can't figure that out in 2 hours. Or you can't see what that gameplay loop is in a 2 hour period. Unless you've already done extensive research beforehand. But again, we're talking about the general consumer.
And just knowing the core gameplay loop doesn't even tell you all you need to know, because it could be a No Man's Sky situation where the core gameplay loop was there for the most part, but then you get like just so far into the game, and then it's just repeat after repeat after repeat, and there's like no content there other than recycled stuff.
Yeah. And what about games that have like a very horrible first week and then they get patches or updates? And you mentioned No Man's Sky earlier. That is another very crazy example. I mean, again, it's great that they fixed it. Nobody's complaining about that. But what, did it take them 6 months to a year after release to get to that point?
It took them a year plus, I think. I think it was like a year and 3 months or something like that. I don't know, but pretty positive it was over a year. Just not by much.
Wait, so did I silence Rob to appease Blizzard, who's fighting with 2K, or is this like a 2K conspiracy, Alberto? Yeah, and I hate to be that kind of, like kick them when they're down. When I see like the developers of No Man's Sky, praising themselves on the game being amazing and great, it's always tempered by the fact that, yeah, but it took a year and a half extra to get to that point. Like, that would be like BioWare patting themselves on the back saying, Anthem is finally good now.
Or Fallout 76. Which, if it does finally get good, or maybe even if it doesn't finally get good, you can bet they'll probably do that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
either way when this new patch comes out. That when they've been praising and preaching for so long.
Or Warcraft 3, the remaster edition, how horrible that was.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I don't want to wish ill will on developers or wish them to fail or anything, but like, No Man's Sky should have failed.
Mm.
You know, after what they did, the way they twisted the truth, the way they lied about things,
Mm-hmm.
that were going to be there at launch and weren't there for a year plus, they should have, had, a bunch of copies bought, a bunch of copies refunded, and then nobody trusts them after that.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, but, we live in a, society apparently that is really forgiving to corrupt crap, because that's the way EA and Blizzard and all these people are still going right now. And at the same time, we're completely like no forgiveness for the smallest of small things. Oh, you worded this one word differently, which gave it a slightly different meaning than what you meant to say. I'm going to, start a hate campaign and just trample all over you, and you're small, so you can't defend yourself, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's ridiculous, kind of thing where we're so forgiving to the people who are meaning to screw us over, and so hard on people who just made a simple mistake or grammar error, or any kind of small thing.
So, what's the bet on how many people are going to buy Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 on day one now?
Everybody that plays the first one, everybody who played the last one,
Mm-hmm.
and probably then some. Despite how much Blizzard has pissed pretty much all of them off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just one of those issues where, people seem to have very selective memory as to, what companies piss them off.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's really sad.
Mm-hmm. But with that, let's get to our first main topic, because I think this one could be a while, but we'll see. And that is something about what makes monetization abusive. We've spoken about good monetization, bad monetization, pay to win. We could probably summon Ramin a few times here. But we've never really touched on when do things become abusive. And this, I think, is a very tricky topic, because for a lot of people, their only metric for monetization is it pay to win? Yes, it's bad. No, then it's perfectly fine. But I feel like abusive monetization is a lot more complicated than that. And a recent news or recent game update has kind of led the charge for our topic. So, since you brought this one up, Shark, I'll let you introduce it.
So recently, Dead or Alive, I don't know what part it is, 6, I think.
Excuse me, 6.
They have introduced a new feature that allows you to change your character's hair color.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, this is not like the normal cosmetics one where you can buy I want to buy the pink hair. Oh, I want to buy the blue hair, and I can swap back and forth between all of them at will. Kind of thing. It's not that. It's not the normal thing. It is you pay to change your hair to pink, and then you pay to change your hair to blue, and then you pay to change your hair back to normal, and then you pay to change it back to the same exact pink that you had, and you pay again to change it back to the blue. You pay for every change. You're not buying the cosmetic or the texture.
Mm-hmm.
You're not buying that. You're buying the one-time change in the cosmetic.
Yep. Mm-hmm. You have the shaders in Destiny 2. You have one use only. And we could even drill that down a little bit further. When you're essentially selling options, like game menu options in a sense, to to the players. Like, this just seems, again, very malicious. It's not pay to win. Again, whatever color your hair is not going to give you a definitive advantage in a esport tournament.
Well, it could. If your hair was blindingly bright, that would knock out the opponent's vision.
If it came with lens flare options, which are extra, you have to pay for the lens flare.
The lens flare on your hair, like like it's like the solar flare of hairdos.
Like that part in the SpongeBob movie, when everyone's screaming "My eyes," the bald head blinding them. Exactly, the JJ director's haircut. And you can push a button and the screen will just start flashing wildly, causing seizures. But it's the seizure upgrade, and that's what, like, you can sell it for like $10.99, right?
Yeah.
But again, like I said, a lot of people will automatically assume that as long as a game is not pay to win, exactly, Zach. Yeah, Odd Job would be $5.99. Now I think they could probably sell them for double that. Lower 50% the height, so we can sell for double the profit there.
Yeah.
But a lot of people will assume that as long as your game is not pay to win, that everything's all hunky dory. We can put whatever we want in the game. But the problem is that abusive monetization is a lot more insidious than that. And I already saw Jim Sterling made a video about the whole DOA scandal. That's probably going to get more buzz than anyone else. But a lot of people don't really keep track of this stuff. Unless, again, it gets to that extreme, For Honor, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Mortal Kombat 11 level.
Yeah. And the thing is, there's so many ways we can monetize our games and everything. And like you said, like, abusive practices is more than just pay to win. I mean, pay to win is definitely abusive. Don't get me wrong, but there's more than that. That's not, like a pay to unlock a volume control would be very abusive.
Or like we've said before, it's that, the old plot of, somebody selling poison or poisoning the town's water and then selling them the cure or the antidote for it. You are creating the problem and you are selling the solution to the problem.
Yeah. Selling a solution to a problem you create is also always bad. And one thing that I would say that's bad, that pretty much most developers have stuck to all this time. So this may be controversial, but at the same time it may not be, and that's paywalls. Paywall is always abusive, in my opinion. It doesn't matter if it's just cosmetics. A paywall is a paywall. If you cannot get that cosmetic for free, then it's a paywall. And paywalls are always about the haves and the have-nots. And I don't know about when you guys went to school, but when I went to school, if you did not have the expensive clothes and everything, you would be made fun of. You would be thrown out and everything. And I've heard the exact same thing done with Fortnite cosmetics because there's a paywall there.
Yeah. I remember, again, I get to really date myself with this. I remember the POG phenomenon of the 90s. And again, if you didn't have the latest and greatest, you were ostracized. And again, and to Ogoro's point about paid DLC, we also see this issue when the DLC becomes a required part of the game. And again, we're not talking about expansion level content, as in, we are going to sell you the next chapter of our game. We're selling you like 5 to 10 more hours of content. What we're talking about is if the DLC includes a new system or a new mechanic that you can't get anywhere else.
Or bug fixes.
Oh, yep, and of course, do not sell bug fixes in DLC. Let's get that tip right out front there. I remember in Payday 2, there was some controversy at the start when they introduced the grenade sub-weapon to Payday 2. And you could, at the time, you could only get that grenade if you bought, I think it was like a $4.99 or $5.99 DLC pack. And people complained because they are selling a brand new game mechanic through their DLC. And as you said, Shark, that creates a paywall. And it took them, I think, either 6 months to a year before they released the free DLC that comes included whenever you buy the game. Or the free grenade.
Yeah. Like, XCOM did that. XCOM 2 sold the bug fixes as well as the core mechanics in their DLCs.
Yeah, and this is where it gets very tricky because, again, that expansion was, again, no pun intended, very expansive. I mean, they did a lot to that. But in that same breath, I know what you're talking about. One of the things that they did was they managed to fix issues with loading times and getting them down for some people several minutes at a time. And they kept that to the War of the Chosen DLC.
Yeah. And with Oscar, like, it doesn't matter if it's free to play or whatnot. Just because if you do a paywall, it's abusive, no matter which way. And the thing we've seen in free to play and a lot of games is there is almost always a paywall if there is any kind of microtransactions in there.
Yeah.
There are very few microtransaction games that do not have a paywall, which is why most microtransaction games are bad, badly monetized. And
I do want to elaborate on Elgordo's point there about games, and that's true. Every retail purchase has the inherent paywall, and this is why there is that big push for free to play, because it removed that initial paywall. The problem, though, for what we're talking about is that when you're buying stuff in these games, you're not buying a permanent solution. You are buying something temporary that you're going to return to again and again. To the DOA hair color thing, if you have to pay that every time you swap hair, that's going to start to add up. Or if you have to keep buying loot boxes, or as you said with Fortnite skins.
Yeah. And it's not that you can't make stuff that you can keep on buying over and over. Because, I mean, in our current game, Project Ride, we have card packs, which are somewhat similar to loot boxes, but, very, very different.
But I know from what you were saying, one of the things you want to do is that, I think you said that you want to have be a fixed number of card packs. Fixed number of booster packs that somebody will need to buy.
Well, it's not a fixed number of booster packs. It's fixed odds, though. And by that, I mean, you know how RNG can go completely nuts. You can have you can have a 1% miss chance and miss 300 times in a row, kind of thing, because the RNG will pick that 1% every time because it's true RNG. So what we're doing is we're going to take basically 5 copies of every card. I don't know if it's going to be exactly 5 copies, but we'll just say 5 copies for now. We're taking 5 copies of every card. We're putting that in a box by rarity. 5 of every rare in this box, 5 of every uncommon on this box. And when they draw a card, the RNG will pick a card from that box, and those boxes will not refill until it's completely exhausted. That way there's 100% even distribution of every rare, every uncommon, every common, every extra rare kind of thing.
Yep, so eventually somebody will have access to all the cards. Now, when you look at something like Hearthstone, they go, it's completely random. Every time you buy a booster pack, you get, 2 rares, 3 commons, 3 epics.
No, it's not that at all. The way they do it is, okay, first of all, they have normal card games go common, uncommon, rare, extra rare kind of thing.
Yeah.
What they've done is they've deleted the common, uncommon terminology and renamed that into rare. So now it's common, rare, extra rare or something, and super rare or something
Legendary,
like that.
I think, is like the highest.
Yeah, they did was just they deleted uncommon to make it seem like you're getting more for your money, making it seem like uncommons are valuable kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they still got the same thing. They've just made it sneakily to appear to have more value, and very abusive technique right there. And then when they open up their packs, you get 5 cards. 1 card is going to be a uncommon named a rare,
Mm-hmm.
and the other 5 are going to be completely random rarities, and then completely random values in there. And I can almost guarantee you the other 4 cards are going to be commons.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to get 1 uncommon named a rare and 4 commons.
And I'm sure somebody is somewhere is going to come in and say, that's BS. I pulled a booster pack and I got 5 legendaries. And I'm sure there's probably like a chance of that happening. It's probably like 0.000000001% of that actually happening.
Actually, they still get the guaranteed uncommon named a rare. So they could get 4 of the legendaries and the 1 rare.
Mm-hmm.
But the odds of that are very, very low.
They're as high as Disney buying me right now, buying Game Wisdom. Will be a Disney.
I take that back. They're not super low. The odds of that are actually pretty high, now that I think about it, because the odds of you getting that kind of thing is pretty high on the first pack you buy with real money. Mm-hmm. Trying to bring you in and get you, because they'll manipulate the odds and get you.
We saw something like that very similar with Fire Emblem Heroes, or whatever the mobile game version of that was. I remember at the time of that launch, there were guides going up as to, okay, you want to do this, this, and this on your very first gacha, and guarantee get yourself one of X, whatever their highest rarity orbs were. If you don't get it, delete your game, run through the tutorial again, and repeat. Because as you just said, and as I'm sure Ramin would agree with, they do that very consistently. That the first time you actually get to have a legitimate pool, they're going to tilt those scales a little higher for you.
Yeah. But like every other time when you're spending money, you're probably not going to get squat.
Oh, yes.
And the thing is they have systems in there. I don't know if Hearthstone has this, but they probably do, assuming that it's Blizzard. Mm-hmm. That will analyze your play practices and everything, and like analyze you basically as close as they can in a psychological manner.
Mm-hmm.
And then they will give you what you need to get you to spend more money, kind of thing. And then they will only what you need to get you money.
And again, when we spoke with Ramin, like he said that there are free-to-play games that they will raise the prices of of content depending upon how much money you've spent, because they know that if you've already spent $200, $500, $1,000 on the game, what's another $30? What's another $60?
Mm-hmm.
And lots of comments in chat that I want to comment on.
Yeah, so, there's one I got on too.
All right, let's see if we picked the right one, or let's see if we picked the same one. So the first one comes from Dave about the appeal of loot boxes. And there's, again, like, we could have an entire chat about loot box design. And the reason why loot boxes are so popular is that it gives that mystery box element to these games. It's the same allure that we see in the ARPG genre. When you kill an enemy and a super rare item drops, and you have to identify to get that big reveal. And it's
Yeah.
why loot boxes have become more elaborate and more, celebratory. I mean, we saw this in Call of Duty World War, where they literally drain loot boxes down from the sky, and everybody around you can see what you get. And
Yeah. But I don't think mystery on itself is bad.
no, again, that's the ARPG loop in a nutshell, right there.
Yeah.
It's when when it becomes a constant payment, and then that payment is the only real form of progression. That's when it begins to get very abusive.
I would disagree with that one too, because you have physical card games that are, like that. It's not, but having the cards isn't necessarily progression. I mean, it's a progression in your possibilities for strategy, but the real progression is your strategy kind of thing.
But
It just,
but there are games built on character rarities and character upgrades that if you don't have high enough characters, you're done. Like, you will not make any progress in PvP, you will not make any progress in PvE, and the only way to get to that point is spending money on loot boxes.
yeah, that's the issue with game balance. Game balance being tilted towards pay to win to get you to open up more loot boxes kind of thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I played plenty of games like that. If you remember, we played that Forced Minions game. I got that super rare Scottish Taunter over the bagpipes, who just completely destroys the enemy strategy. And in the game South Park Phone Destroyer, the character Man Bear Pig was super overpowered. Like, he's basically the nuclear option for rock paper scissors. And unless you have the specific counter, you're going to lose him every time.
Yeah. As for El Gordo's question, he wanted to know about our current games model that I'm currently working on.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, goes in many different parts. Okay, first we got card packs. They work pretty much just like your physical card pack kind of thing. They have a guaranteed rarities. You know that you're going to get. I don't even remember how many cards are in the pack, so I'm just going to shoot out some random numbers here. I'm going to shoot out some Magic the Gathering numbers. You had one rare, 3 uncommons, and one foil, and 5, 6, 7 commons kind of thing. And no matter which pack you got, you knew exactly what you're going to get rarity wise. And we're doing it like that. And then we're doing it again like physical card games. When they print off these card games, they print them off in sheets, and generally there's an equal number of rares on a sheet and an equal number of uncommons and whatnot, and the actual value of the card is based off of how players actually value the card kind of thing, and it's player focused kind of thing. And that's kind of what we're doing with the the boxes and everything, limiting it to you've got to put 5 sets of rares into this box, and then they'll pull from that box until that it's gone, and then it's refilled kind of thing. So it's the box is basically the sheet of cut physical cards kind of thing, preventing RNG from throwing off the balance in some weird way, where there's a common that throughout 5 years of play has only spawned one time. And that common being worth $5 million kind of thing. Another way is we've got starter decks, and the starter decks, like a physical card game, is a constructed deck, but unlike the normal starter decks you get in a physical game, I'm intending for the starter decks to actually be a good constructed deck. They've always said constructed decks, but I want it to be actually good. We're going to have one exclusive card in there, which has 2 copies of it, and that one exclusive card will probably be the most powerful card in that set, kind of thing. And the goal is that and this is yet to be seen when I balance it out and everything. The goal is though that a professional that's really good with strategy can take that starter deck and completely wipe the floor with with somebody who's average playing the game that has every single card and has a completely built deck that they've gotten off the internet kind of thing.
Yeah, and we've seen some pro players try to do that. I know, I think his name is Trump for Hearthstone. He used to make, or I don't know if he's still doing it, makes videos about he starts a new account and then see how far he can get with simply, earning things without spending money. I know several Gwent pros who did something similar as well.
Yeah. And the other thing we're doing is we have a shop that allows you to just straight up buy and sell cards. Mm-hmm. Now then, you don't determine the price, because that's where you get into abuse. There's no player-to-player interaction. There's no trading cards or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It is we've already seen basically this system in a lot of ways in Hearthstone, which is one thing I've got to give Hearthstone. Is Hearthstone allows you to give up some of your cards, and you get this special kind of currency, and then you can use that currency to buy craft cards or whatever. It's basically that, but you're basically giving up the card to the shop, which will give you a set value for that card, which that set value fluctuates because it's based off of supply and demand kind of thing. So and the people who will now then on the other side, the buyers will be able to buy only the cards that are put up for sale kind of thing. So the less that are put up for sale, the more that are wanted, the higher the price is going to be until that balances out, where the want and the supply are equal kind of thing, supply and demand. And, of course, if a ton of people are selling commons and nobody's buying them, we'll give a minimum value kind of thing. We're not going to prevent people from selling their cards, but, it's also like a good opportunity for a new player to come in and just buy like all the common cards, like a full set of them, and get this huge boost right at the beginning kind of thing for basically nothing kind of thing. And, all of our cosmetics will be purchasable with free money. Our packs and our starter decks, singular packs and singular starter decks, will be bought with free currency. Now then, if you want to buy a fat pack, which is basically, I think, 8 packs of cards kind of thing, those you can only buy with money. If you want to buy a box of boosters, which is 36 packs, which has a guaranteed 3 extra rares, that costs money. I mean, but, at the same time, you can also just buy 3 packs and get really, really lucky with the free currency and get 3 extra rares. So, but, you can take out some of the chances by buying buying in bulk kind of thing. Yeah. At the same time, we got you can buy the starters in bulk and whatnot, and you can only do that with free currency, or paid currency. You can only buy the singular, but you get to pick which starter deck you want. So if you want the time travel starter deck, if you want a second one, you can just go up and buy that. It's no random. And if there's just, one card you want, you can go to the shop and buy it. You don't have to, fish around and loot I was about to call it loot boxes. You don't have to fish around in card backs and whatnot. And, another thing, we've tried to keep our, packs cheap, and we haven't finalized this, but right now it's looking like our card packs are going to be roughly $2 kind of thing. And our starter decks are going to be roughly $5 kind of thing. Yep. There's also like our cosmetics. Our cosmetics are going to be only purchasable with free currency kind of thing. So you will be able to go in there and purchase all the cosmetics you want with the free currency. But, by buying those, that means you can buy less card packs, less other stuff, kind of thing. And our whole system is built around making the free currency actually valuable. And in that, you can buy more free currency. Yeah. And there is no paid currency. You can just pay money straight for packs or whatever in bulk, but there's no straight paid currency. It's, it's...
I do want to get back on topic here, because I also want to talk about the subscription model that came up, because that's another really interesting point about kind of like what happened with the MMO, and also about when things become kind of abusive in that regard. And one of the things that we saw over the last decade, and probably even more than that, was when the MMO genre made that transition from a subscription-based service to free-to-play. With exception, of course, to World of Warcraft. Lord of the Rings did it, DC Universe, Star Wars not Star Wars, Star Trek. There was a Star Wars Online, but I don't think they're in business anymore. And one of the things that they always did in these games, the second they went free to play, was they monetized everything. And I mean everything. Like anything that could be something the player needed to do or an option became a monetizable element. Some of the more popular options. One that always drives me crazy, having to pay to change your character's name or your account name. That drives me up a wall, especially in today's market where people can harass and target people based on their username. So you're creating a problem and selling the solution outright. But some of the other ones, having limits on your inventory space unless you spend money, having limits on your currency space if you don't spend money. Let's see, what are some other ones? Again, cosmetic options, being able to change a character's options. And again, this is the thing about this. We've had this discussion before with Ramin. These elements and these decisions aren't done haphazardly. They're not done because somebody is stupid and goes, oh, we're just going to let you, we're going to have a monetization option for how your character walks. No, they do that because they know people want those options. People like to personalize their characters. Again, there's an entire podcast or two on that very topic. And when you can monetize every little aspect like that, it can become a period of mental stress for people. As we've said earlier, there are those who care a lot about cosmetics. And when you're the only character in a room of 30, 50 other avatars, and your character is using, the basic freebie, you may just have like a shirt that says shirt on it, that can hurt people. And again, like for somebody like me, I don't care about cosmetics. Exactly. Like, I have never been fashion wars. I've never been fashion wars in real life. As long as I wear a shirt and pants, that's my metric for success there. But there are people who are very interested and they're very important about how their character looks and the psychology that goes into that. And people who monetize know that there is good money there. It's probably a little bit less than selling outright. I do at least make sure to do that. Versus selling outright advantages. People, of course, always want to buy the best weapon. But this can still be a major point. And to bring this back to the subscription model, one of the reasons why the subscription model, I think, does work to some extent is that you are essentially paying for everything up front. I have the free inventory, I have the increased stash or monetize space, I have free names, free options, free all that, and I'm just spending X amount of money per month. And the problem, I think, for a lot of people, again, is that psychology of upfront versus over time. That, again, I can spend $30, $40, $50 on a game, and that is my entire purchase forever and ever and ever. Some people are like, no, I want to buy this game for free, and then over the course of, a year or two, I'll be up to $80, $100, $200 in that game. Yep. And again, that also goes back to the value of time versus money. And again, everybody values it differently. To somebody, spending a year grinding to unlock a very powerful character is nothing. And if you dare ask them to spend 10 cents on that character, they're going to outright quit the game. Just as there's people who they'll throw $40, $50, $60 at you, but if you tell them that this will take 2 weeks to accomplish, I don't have the time for that. Yeah, and I think to Ford's point, that's a really good one right there. That one of the problems that the subscription model face, and this goes back to, again, the issue that we have with refunding games, is that everybody wants the blanket option. I hear a lot of typing in the background.
Sorry.
That everybody wants the blanket option of $15, that gets you $15 for everybody, $10 for everybody. But again, people will value things differently. To somebody, they'll probably spend, if we were to, put a price tag on everything, they could probably spend like $50 to $100 a month in terms of content for that $10. And to them, that's an amazing amount of value. To somebody else, they may only play the game maybe 3 hours a week. To them, they may only get like $4 of value out of the game. And that unfortunately leads to these issues that, and exactly, the live service. And again, you technically, for some of these live service stuff, that can go away. If that game goes under, it's all gone. Or the whole, as we said with the Netflix model, that you can only play the games that are currently available. Imagine if I try to do it with my 2,000 Steam games right now.
Yeah.
Consumer, and again, like the whole death of the subscription model came because of free to play. But the free to play side began to get very abusive in this regard. You can sell, even World of Warcraft does this. They have, you can buy a level skip. You can buy a server transfers. You can buy all these features that, in a way should have just been free. Because if you have to buy something that is not permanent, I always feel that can end up leading to abuse.
Yeah. I mean, the subscription model, if you're just doing a subscription model, nothing else, I mean, it can be good, kind of thing. Like if game needs to pay for its servers and whatnot, keep it up kind of thing, then yeah, I mean, if you're just going with that. But if you stack microtransactions on top of that, that's where things become very muddy, to say the least.
Yeah. And to Ford's point about games shouldn't be both buy to play and a subscription, and again, people saw World of Warcraft and they all decided to copy that one. And and I would agree with that. That it is, you're basically having your cake and eating it too. Better yet, if it's buy to play subscription and there's microtransactions on top of that.
That sounds like an EA game.
Mm-hmm. I think World of Warcraft does that now. There are microtransactions in that game. There's an entire shop now.
You have to buy the expansion, and then you've got to pay the subscription, and then you got to pay the microtransactions.
Oh, yes. And again, they get away with that because Blizzard is Blizzard, essentially.
Yeah. Hopefully Blizzard gets truly exposed to everybody for what they really are.
Mm-hmm.
As well as EA and all these other AAAs. Which would be a good thing for Capcom.
Yeah. Thank you, Ford. Yeah, Blizzard. Oh yeah, they're wasting it. They're just tossing it into the wood chipper at this point. It's like an assembly line of Goodwill falling off into the wood chipper, and then the wood chipper, the remains get thrown into the trash.
Yeah, that and I'm blanking on the name. Fallout 76.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing the same thing, although not as big as Blizzard is. But they started before Blizzard.
Mm-hmm. It's anti-exposure. Yeah, exposure, but it's on the right way. And
But the thing is they showed that cutscene, that 9-minute cutscene from that they just made to get people to forget about it, and the bad stuff they did, and most people forgot about it.
yeah, they made Mai looking really sad, and it tugged on everybody's heartstrings, which then tugs on everybody's money strings.
Yeah, and they also said they were sorry for doing the thing they did so fast. They're not sorry for doing the thing they did. They're just sorry for doing it so fast that it caused the controversy. Yeah. They wanted to take it, a little bit slower and let it slip underneath the radar kind of thing, rather than create a controversy. They're only sorry for the controversy. They're not sorry for their actions.
Yeah. And let me see, what's our time so far? I think we're going to go around in circles a little bit, but I guess to sum up my point, and then I'll throw it to you, Shark. When you are, as we said earlier, the first sign of an abusive microtransaction or monetization is if you are creating a problem or creating an issue and then selling the solution or selling a purchasable or repeatable solution. Like, here's another fun one. Imagine, I think you may have said this earlier, somebody else. Imagine if the game allows you have to buy the option to tweak the sound menu every time you go into the options. Or better yet, key rebinding. $2.99 to be able to rebind your keys.
Oh, yeah. And, we can do this a step further. Colorblind option.
Oh,
$5.99.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm waiting for somebody to be dumb enough to do that in one of their games. Better yet, buy the option to exit the game.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go, Shark. That's how you get around the 2-hour refund window. You can't exit the game unless you buy the update, and the update only becomes available after you spend 2 hours in the game.
Yeah. And even if you shut it down from Task Manager, it'll still be running.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go. Somebody call EA. Tell them I have the next money-making strategy for them.
Here's the thing. Buy the chance to be able to refund it through Steam. It won't even register you bought the game until you buy that transaction kind of thing. That's the thing. Is you have to, after you buy the game, you have to pay before they'll let you download it.
And this is the thing, and we're joking about this, but Ron, me and I, we've had this conversation before. We both are very good at coming up with monetization options because we understand psychology and we understand all these little aspects. It's very, very easy to go into unethical territory in monetization. And it's, again, as we've said, this stuff is not done haphazardly. It's not done because the developer, closed their eyes and typed the wrong key, or somebody wasn't paying attention. They are explicitly designed to get people to spend money. And you have to be educated on that in order to avoid these practices.
Well, I'll disagree with you to a point. There are some games that are just kind of throwing darts at the wall, but those are games that they had no idea what to do monetization-wise, and they just copied somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing. And, they're like, oh, this game did it this way, let's just do it that way.
Yeah. I remember a conversation that Rami and I had that he said that developers are basically playing around with neuroscience and not understanding what it does.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, if the developers stay on this trend or get worse, governments are going to start coming from them. We've already started to see some of that. I mean, here's one, and this will be my final example for this part. Payday 2 has recently had to remove its loot box options, or they pay to unlock a loot box, due to the European Union law changes. So, it's coming. And if you're not And if we don't do better steps to keep the extreme option from happening, that loot box law that we talk about, Ramin, that will basically kill the market, could become a law.
Yeah. The U.S. one where, says that everything except for straight up paid games, DLC, and some DLC, matter of fact, some TLC, and in subscription-based games, everything else dies.
Yep. It is gone, and there's no way, and you're not going back from that.
Yeah. And, that's in the U.S., of course, if the U.S. enacts that, then it sets forth a chain reaction, and other governments will start enacting it. Because, the whole U.S. one is a reaction to the whole thing that happened with the first loot box one.
And then that was...
one country makes a law, and then everybody else starts to fall in line for the most part.
Oh, yes. I still love that sort of me talking about one EA's executives running out of the hearing when they were asking about the loot boxes. I need that next time Ramin's on, we need to have him say that story again, because I just love it so much. Alright, but that's all I have to say on this topic. So, Shark, do you have anything to add? And then we'll move on to weird games.
Well, the easiest way that I know of to do good monetization is just be good to your players. Be good to your players, and if you're good to your players, if your players are enjoying it, then you've done a good monetization. Now then, is that monetization going to make money? That's another issue entirely. But that's a good monetization. Then after that, you need to look and see if you think that's going to make you money. You will never actually know until you launch it and everything. But you can get an idea for it, which requires balancing and tweaking. Maybe your monetization is good and everything, but as it's balanced right now, it's not going to make you any money. Like my system, if I give out too much free currency, if I just hand it out, throw it out money rains kind of thing, nobody's going to buy any, microtransactions. Nobody's going to support the game if I do that kind of thing. So I'm going to have to give both a tight restriction on how much I give out, but not be, greedy with it at the same time, because that will drive people away too. That will be, bad for the consumers and everything. That would be being mean to the players if I was too greedy with it. And at the same time, I've got to add in enough stuff, give them enough options, give them enough stuff to purchase that, because my entire system is based around making the free currency actually valuable. So, if I give out too much, free currency, if I don't have enough things to purchase with the free currency, then it's a good model, but it's not going to make me any money. And I'm going to have to play with that and the balancing and everything until I find that right spot where it'll make money, but at the same time be good for the consumers. And that's a very much balancing issue. And this is what we run into with the pay to win things, is because the pay to win things may not actually been that bad if they had balanced it in such a way that it was not a negative experience for those who did not pay, kind of thing. And it's very much, microtransactions and everything in your game goes hand to hand with balancing.
Yeah.
So,
and as you said, there is that line that if you're trying to make a live service game, you need monetization. There's no way around it. You are not going to be able to support a game for years and years and years simply on just one retail purchase, unless you have Blizzard or Disney funding your whole development that whole time. And and if you're doing that, you don't want to charge for the game up front, because that would be dirty there too. Yep. At the end of the day, in order for monetization to work, the player has to feel like they're getting a good deal, and the developers have to earn enough money to keep the lights on. That's the very basic idea about this. And if you can't do those 2 points right, chances are your game is going to fail.
Or succeed wildly and be very abusive and hurt the industry as a whole.
Yep. All right. But I think with that, let's get to our weird games segment. I already saw some potential winners or some potentially good games.
Uh-oh.
Let's see what we got here. So here's a very fun one. I looked at these 2 games already while we were getting things set up. Look at this game, and look at this one, Shield Maiden. Tell me, which one do you think would looks more impressive or more interesting?
What was the other one? Shield Maiden and what else?
Cyberheart.
Which one do I think would be more visually appealing?
Yeah, or has more interest to it.
Cyberheart.
Mm-hmm. How about the chat? What do you think? And yes, we're not clicking on that one. Because this is, again, another one of those really interesting cases about thumbnail quality to, or thumbnail to game. Meanwhile, I'll scroll down a little bit more. Yeah, we're not clicking on that one. Shark's not daring me.
I might dare you.
Alright, so...
What did I say about, there was some kind of simulator?
Truck parking simulator.
No, not that one. There's a different one.
I don't know.
It was on there when
Acid Flip Tycoon Simulator.
Yeah, there we go.
Perfect. Alright, so this is what Cyberheart looks like.
Oh, jeez.
Wait, it gets better. Wait, where is it? You are a mysterious character with a question mark instead of a face. How artistic.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, you're on the cyber field fighting cyber enemies.
Oh, jeez.
Wait. By pressing the key combinations WSAD and SPASE? What the heck is SPASE?
Space.
They had to say it like that?
Yeah, we had to spell it like that.
Like a platformer. Oh,
Yeah,
look, it features unusual style and an unusual control scheme.
Oh, unusual control scheme is definitely a plus.
Exactly. So here's Shield Maiden. And look at World of Difference here.
Well, honestly, if I had no idea what I was talking about, I would have probably said Shield Maiden would have been better.
Mm-hmm. Because
they did have a more polished thumbnail. But I thought it was too polished. And I was like, we're going to get something on that one that's not remotely matching. But it turns out it was the inverse that was not matching.
Yeah. Oh, good. It has 80s electronics. 4 hours of gameplay with synthwave music. That sounds like a winner right there. But again, you never know. I thought that a synthetic blood game was going to be good, and no. Yeah,
it lacked pretty hard.
What is Isoland? Have you ever heard of that?
No. ISO is the perspective in 2D where like a tactical RPG is like diamonds instead of squares.
This is not a strategy game, that's for sure.
And it's that perspective, so like this makes no sense.
Mm-hmm. Little combat. Now this one I put in the key for immediately because I've been following this game on Steam. This is a city builder done in ancient Egypt.
Yeah, for a second there I thought you were referring to political combat.
No. And I really want this game to do well because I really respected Children of Nile by Tilted Mill, and unfortunately, it just didn't have, I think, everything that came together for it. But it was such a unique take on the design. So I'm really hoping this works, because maybe it'll convince somebody to make another Hinterland. Send them to the sky.
Maybe it'll be bought out by somebody, and they'll make a demastered of the original version.
Exactly, and to Algora's point, yep, definitely. Entertainment Hero 2.
Entertainment Hero? What?
Why is Heart of the Disc on a separate line? Well, we missed the first game. How will we ever keep up?
Trust the Heart of the Disc.
Oh, good. 2-man team from Texas. Powered by Unity with the Corgi engine. Wait, why do they have an advertisement for Corgi engine in their description for the game?
It's rough around the edges. It's a learning process and labor. That's not a good thing to put in your description. Do not put that in your description ever.
Mm-hmm.
This has failure written all over it because it is not visually appealing.
Yeah, don't say that your game sucks in your store description.
Or that it's rough around the edges. And also, don't make your game rough around the edges to begin with. Keep on working on it until it's not rough around the edges. If it's rough around the edges, and it's too soon to release.
What the hell?
That's unless you win the Super Lottery.
Mm-hmm.
There's X.
Create an orderly. Yes, Insane Asylum. Okay. Go or leave. Sorry, only Chinese version. Okay, well, we're never going to know what the hell is this game about.
Also, if Goat Simulator came out today, I have a feeling that it would be nowhere near as successful as it once was.
Mm-hmm.
It'd still be successful, like Untitled Goose Game and whatnot. It would be along that level of success instead of the success that Goat Simulator has. It actually would probably be less than Untitled Goose Game.
Rest House 2: The Wizard. Oh, good. Stealth narrative progression. Those are my two favorite words. Ooh, we can unlock the movie.
So is this a Kojima?
Maybe.
Game?
Wizard. Okay. How is this an action... Wait, how is it an action-adventure game? There's no mention of stealth.
Maybe it's not stealth. Maybe it's stealth movie. You got to watch the movie without letting the game that you're watching the movie.
Wait, professional voice narration. Who's doing the voice?
Some professional. Professional at what? I don't know. I mean, he could be a professional. He's a professional house painter, and he's doing the voice acting.
Not sure what this game is. I'm afraid to click on it.
The dead one?
Mm-hmm. Mono Trail.
That one sounds interesting.
What the hell? We're getting trolled by all these titles.
Yeah, that's pretty normal.
Mm-hmm. Puddle Knights. Death Bloom Chapter 2. It's a second half. Classic survival horror. 10 different weapons. Why is Christina in quotes? You are not alone. Okay.
Maybe she's not really Christina.
Hey, she's Jackie.
Yeah, and Jackie's the killer.
Alright, so it's a first-person survival horror. Steampunk Genius, I'm afraid. What could this be? What? Oh, it's a free game. So it's a vehicle simulator, vehicle creator here.
Yep, and I'm guessing they have a paywall on parts.
Could be. Street Sweeper, Fire Escape Drill, Of Evil and Darkness. What's this? Oh, good. It's an interactive visual novel. How many words is it? Make sure on the store page for Project Triad you put how many words of text you wrote for it.
Yeah, I will. That's a very, very key thing that you've got to put in there.
Let's see. Grand Blue. I think that's a fighting game. There's that table tennis game that we played.
Well, a lot of the interactive visual novels I've seen are, hey, pick option A or pick option B.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, you're getting the same exact answer to both.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a fake choice.
Amoeba Battle, you control amoebas, explore beautiful. Graphics don't look too bad. Just wondering just how much strategy is it, other than just, take blob of units to enemy base, hit attack, move.
Yeah. Looks a bit busy on the visuals, though.
Yeah, it's very bright. And
yeah, that too.
Yeah,
the brightness helps or hurts in combinedness with the busyness of it.
Yeah, like right here, it's kind of hard to tell what is going on. Like, my eyes immediately drawn to the trees, but those trees aren't really helping me, manage an army.
Yep. Unless you have an army of trees.
Yeah. Infinity is coming out soon. Deep Space.
Not yet, Dave, but I'm about to swap to Linux.
What is this? Simian strategy game. What?
Deep Space Banana.
Saying all ape crew. Ooh, fantastic 3D graphics. Deep Space Explorer. Using defense game elements.
Yeah, our last game came out on Linux as well as PC. It's good that Steam now has that. What is it? It's similar to wine, but it's built more kind of thing that will allow a lot of the regular PC games to actually play on Linux with more compatibility.
Don't know. Let's see. Bombing quests. Wait, is this just the Bomberman? Yeah, this is the Bomberman looking game. Wait. It's a Bomberman game, but there's a story to it.
The world looks rather drab.
Mm-hmm.
Very gray and lacking character.
Hmm. I'm gonna put one in. I'm curious to see what they're doing. Maybe we'll have another hypergalactic tabletop tennis game on our hands.
Yeah.
Let's see. Mystic Pillars. Okay.
Would you like some pillars that are mystic?
It's a puzzle game, but what is the puzzle? Oh, 100 simple and unique logical puzzles. Good.
At what point do you think it'll be too many? At about 10?
Maybe. Weak. What? You can control only one character. What? So, choose different characters. They have different functionality. What? I'm not seeing any descriptions about gameplay, though. Wait, arcade puzzle elements. So is it kind of like that game we played last night with the dancing battles?
Could be. That one was actually really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Nice little relaxing game.
Yeah. Wasn't much to it, but it was sure interesting for what it was.
Alright, I'm afraid to click on this one. Let's see. Somni and... What? Sony? Oh, there's an issue with the ampersand. Supposed to be... What? Puzzle game made by a group of students. Oh, so that means you have to go extra hard on them, right? Because they're students?
That's almost a recipe for disaster right there.
Asymmetrical cooperative multiplayer investigation system.
You heard El Gordo there.
They say, no, we're not doing that.
I dare you.
Let's see, infestation. Oh, wait a minute. Oh my god, yes, that's right. So the War Z was so horrible they had to rebrand it Investor Survival Stories, which then had to be rebranded to Infestation the New Z, and now it's being rebranded to Infestation Battle Royale. Oh my god, you think that's going to be abusive monetization?
Yep, that's abusive monetization. And there's not even many microtransactions.
Yeah.
At least not in that part. Just resell the same game 3 times.
And this looks like a... Is this RPG Maker?
It could be. It looks like it, but...
Broomstick League. Alright, 2 more pages and then that will do it. The guys.
Yeah, it's probably an RPG Maker game, but it looks like they put effort in it.
Doesn't look too bad from the screenshots.
Yeah, it looks like it could be interesting.
Why does this look familiar? No. I thought this was the developer of Pinstripe, if I remember. It was like kind of like a platforming adventure game. Well, doesn't look too bad. Alright. Kind of reminds me of Coraline in terms of that kind of aesthetic.
I'm not familiar with that one.
That movie by a Studio Leica.
Still not familiar with it.
Now if you Google it, you'll get very quickly what that looks like. The Long Game, that was a game we played. Great British Railway Journeys.
Pizza Master VR, that's a game for Chow right there.
Mm-hmm. You'll get him to get the pizza here quicker.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, we could play co-op. I could be the waiter and he can be the chef.
Yep.
Okay then. Anyone want some pizza?
I do.
Let's see. Horse racing, the Soulstone War. Well, I was not expecting that from that thumbnail. Oh, good. It's a thrilling 487,000 word interactive fantasy novel. Alright. Yep. We need to create a fantasy novel for Game Wisdom. We gotta put it up here.
And it's gotta have at least 500,000 words.
And you have to be able to play as female, male, non-binary, straight, gay, or bisexual, too. And by saying all those words, the YouTube algorithm is probably going to demonetize this video.
Well, they probably already demonetized you for saying coronavirus at the beginning.
So we are just completely screwed. Oh, good. Hentai Resort Dream Paradise. Where's Draken?
You know, I feel left out in there. They didn't say anything about sharks. You know, for being all inclusive, they're not all inclusive. Like, they said nothing about being a shark or attack helicopter or any of these other things. Like, they've never said anything about being a wolf or cat or anything. Like, they are really dropping the ball on that one.
What is this? Family-friendly word game. Okay. Well, I guess good for them. I don't think we're going to be playing that one. Factory Rally Menace? What?
That's a crazy name.
And these graphics are not doing much. Goals and secrets. But what about secrets and goals?
Dropping the shark would just make it worse for you. You never jump the shark.
Yes, Your Grace. Is this another visual novel game? Huh?
Probably.
Nice.
No?
No. RPG management. That's general switches, perfect battle.
Can't tell through the expression, but it looks like it might have a really good aesthetic to it.
You'll face tells a story in a fictional world.
Is that pixel art?
Could be. I think it is. No, not bad. Wait a minute. No More Robots. Isn't that publishing house by J.J. Abrams?
No clue.
Oh, they did Hypnospace Outlaw. That was one of those games I heard a lot about. Or maybe thinking of another one there. Alright, well, we'll see. Burglar Girl. I don't know, that's a tough one. I don't know if I should click on that.
Sounds sexist.
Breeder?
Can't that be a burglar boy?
What about Burglar Apache Helicopter?
Burglar shark.
Mm-hmm. Bots and the Robo Friends. We went back. Oh, good. You have amnesia.
Oh, nobody's ever done that in a game.
Oh. There's a rat. That's a good feature.
And feature time looping. Feature terror at every turn. I mean, does that mean that you'll be? It's a terror playing it.
Maybe. Ooh, here we go. There's the winner for the week. Hentai Loot Box Simulator. They finally done it. They cracked the code.
What about the one above that? Couple above that. The teddy bear one?
Let's see.
Teddy bear roars.
Okay, about one person.
Where is this? Up to 10 players with a deathmatch. You can deathmatch teddy bears.
This murder by numbers, I've heard people saying this has been like brought up on Twitter a lot. Kind of like a.
Does that mean it's bad?
It's supposed to be kind of like Phoenix Wright. Ooh, sass dialed up to 100 with drag queens. And apparently there's Pacross. This is either going to turn out really well or really bad, I think.
Yeah.
Alright, well. I'll take a shot. We'll see if RNG's in my favor. Spoiler alert, it's not. The horoscope. Who's where? What?
That's definitely not a safely extreme name.
What?
Playing a Kim boy.
You love these graphics?
Oh yeah, those are top notch.
Alright. But I think with that, let's get to our final topic then. Let me switch things back. There we go. And let's talk at least somewhat briefly about the challenges or making money as a developer. And if you looked at the thumbnail, I found the perfect picture of just lots and lots of $1 bills. Because, as we all know, game development is very easy, and everyone can make millions of dollars doing it, right, Shark?
Oh yeah, if you spend at least 5 minutes making a game, you can at least make $5 million. And, that's the reason why I've got like 3 Lamborghinis out in my driveway. I'm living in a $15 million house, and I wipe my butt with money, kind of thing. It's just no effort, because like I've been doing this for like, I don't know, like since 2004. So I am the most filthy rich.
Yeah.
I'm like, I make Bill Gates look like he's poor, kind of thing. Like, it's just so easy. All you gotta do is just you ain't got to put any effort in there. Just throw something out there, and you'll be rich. Just simple as that.
Just like making YouTube videos. I just sit and talk for 10 minutes. I make $5,000.
Yep, and you don't even need to make a whole bunch of them. Just make one. Keep it like short, like a minute long. Just don't even put any effort into it. Just leave like the lowest quality stuff you can possibly do in there. You'll make millions.
I know. I'll take, like, when I do like a 20-minute video, I'll turn it into like 10 to 2-minute chunks, so everyone has to keep clicking on the next video.
Yeah.
And there won't even be like any consistency today. I'll be like, and so for this design, next video.
And in those 2-minute videos, at least make sure that you have at least 20 ads in there breaking it apart.
And at least a minute half of it will be me saying, be sure to subscribe and check this out and go buy my merchandise.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll say that right after every commercial.
But before we just spend like the next 20 minutes making jokes about this, as we all know, in the real world, earning money as a game developer is very difficult. And as we've said before, it's one of those, I think, major points between being a hobbyist and actually running a studio or making a living off of your games. Because there are people out there who they don't care about making money. They'll, work on a project maybe, an hour to a week, something they'll do when they have a little bit of free time. They'll put it up there and people like it. Yay! Okay, if they don't like it, oh well, nobody really cares. But for the people who are sitting there going, I want to make a living off of my games, it is an entirely different story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was talking. This is reminding me back to a conversation I had with one of my programmer the other day, and we were talking, and we were talking about how like a lot of people think that like our jokes there were actually true, and that make game development out to be some kind of get rich quick scheme, And the term come to mind is game dev is not like a get rich scheme. It's like a get poor quick scheme kind of thing. You spend all your money, and then you make far less than that back. I mean, like our last game spent roughly $5,000. And most of that was in getting the LLC and stuff, and only made $700. And mind you, that was, almost everything of that was like in government stuff. There was only 150 actually in the game itself. So you might as well consider it a zero budget game, which are basically impossible to make in the first place. I just made the impossible possible. Mm-hmm. But so when you're going to, if basically a $0 budget game is still going to cost you $5,000, then what is a real paid game going to look like? It's going to be much more, and you're still probably going to make that same $700 or less, unless you know exactly what you're doing. And even if you know exactly what you're doing, you may still end up worse. And having a built-up fan base ahead of time will help you, but you can't get a fan base if you don't make games. So you have to lose enough times and build up a fan base that is big enough so that you can eventually win. Almost.
And like we've said before, there are developers who will think, I'll just spend 5 to 10 years of my life making one single game, and that game will cover all the costs and still earn me, millions of dollars.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. There's many games that spent 20, 30 years making it, and it released and made $0.
And like we've said, the longer you spend working on a title, the harder it's going to be to recoup that. And to Dave's point, I don't think he made that much money, because didn't he not put any ads on the original Flappy Birds?
I don't know, but I know I know it's a free game, so if he did make any money, it was purely off of ads. And I don't think there was ads in the first version, so, which is a version that most people had. So it probably didn't make that much money.
But all the clones probably made lots and lots of ads.
Yep, and they all failed horribly, horribly, horribly too. But all the clones and everything, the original Flappy included, like none of them had very much effort or time put into them. They were all just really quick and everything. And mind you, that the quicker it is, the quicker development is, the easier it is to make up your money. Just like the shorter distance you run, the less you have to breathe. But that being said, you can still suffocate standing still. You know what I mean? You can be in a pool and suffocate standing still. You can be in space and suffocate. There's tons of places that exist that you could, there's a vastness of space that is, probably 99.99999% of everything that you'll die just from still doing nothing. And that's kind of the way game development is. So don't just sit still. You got to do something.
Yep.
You got to do something meaningful, and you have to handle everything in such a way that maybe you can make money.
Yep.
There are many, many pitfalls that are do not do kind of thing, but there's not really a to-do list. It's not like if you do all these things, you'll be successful. There's just here's 500 different ways you can fail, like putting your at the start button as your attack in your controls. That's a way to fail. Put a crappy control scheme in there. Don't let people configure it. Another good way to fail right there. There's thousands of ways you can fail in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But there's no for sure way to succeed.
If there was, we would, I would have, I could make, a hour-long presentation and be rich by now, right?
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like, the things Shark is describing, making sure UI is right, making sure, people can actually play your game, we're not even, scratching the surface. There's still the whole issue about, daily expenses, food, power, living, all this stuff is dollars out of your pocket. And this is why, for a lot of people, both in the industry and out, they don't understand what exactly success means. Like we said before, to one developer, selling 500 copies of their game could be, wildly out of their expectations. To another developer, selling 300,000 copies is not even a break-even point.
Yeah, because that all depends on how much you invested in it.
Yep.
And how much you're charging for the game. And, if you can break even at 500 copies, then you probably didn't make a very good game. Because that means you did not spend much time or effort into the game. Now, then that doesn't, and bear in mind that when I say that, I'm talking about your labor being worth time and everybody else who's putting in there. Whether it's costing you money or not, it has a value. And if you're not putting in, if you're not counting that labor of your own as having value, then you're underestimating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to count the labor that you put in there. You don't have to count it as, oh, we've got to make this much money back, but you need to count it and be like, okay, if I was getting paid, to actually do this, what would it take to just break even, kind of thing? And it's not going to be 500 copies unless you spent 30 minutes on the game or whatever.
Yeah, and like all voice acting is just you doing the voices into the microphone.
Yeah.
Yep. And to Okuroshi's point there. Yep. Again, like as we've said, the game industry does not attract, the people who are looking for the same 9-to-5 job. People get in the game industry because they want to make games for a living, come hell or high water. But the problem, though, is that very few people, again, understand that there is a business side to the game industry. Some of my favorite conversations was with Z from Serenity Forge and Jake Burkett of I can't believe I forgot the name of the studio. Now I gotta look that up really fast. Who did Regency Solitaire, Great Alien Games. Like, again, he did that whole presentation about surviving in the industry for over 2 decades. I think, maybe 10 or 15 years without having a solid hit. And he's said before that there are games he's made that just barely broke even. And that was enough to keep going. Like, if he would have done, while the developers did and spend, an extra 5-6 years on that single idea, he would have been put out of business. Another really good example is Chris Park from Arkin, who he laid it out there very cleanly in some of his design diaries about how much money each game made versus how much it cost to develop. And he has lost a lot of money on some of his games.
Yeah, and the way I would personally call a developer successful is if they could break even. Breaking even would make it a success. Breaking even with $5, you made $5 profit from the game. That would be profit. That would any kind of profit, even 1 cent, would be a positive thing because you're moving into the positive at that point. You're not just breaking even.
And this is again another reason why, for myself, that I don't judge a developer's quality on just one game. Because you can have that, lottery winning, amazing title. You can have your Minecraft or your Five Nights at Freddy's, or even that, what was it called? Hand of Fate. That was that really great, card building action roguelike game. But guess what happened? Even though those games turned out pretty well, that studio crashed and burned. The developers of Minecraft, of course, sold it to Microsoft. They haven't made anything anywhere near as good. We saw the Trine developers nearly go bankrupt after number 3. Yeah, of course, and there's that. And the point is, it takes more than having one good game to be able to build a business around it.
Yeah. And that really comes down to really having a good designer on the team, which is what we talked about quite a lot.
Oh, yes. But it's also about, I would say, you also, again, need to understand the management side of things.
You got to know the design side of things. You got to know the aesthetic side of things. You got to know the music side of things. You got to know the programming side of things. You got to know the business side of things. You got to know the PR marketing side of things. You got to know all these different things, or you've got to have a team composed of enough people that combined you all know these things, and that's pretty much the only way you can be successful is as a team.
Yeah.
If you're a solo developer, you can do something, but you're probably not going to be successful.
Or you won't be as good as somebody who does that specific role professionally.
Yeah, because nobody nobody is omni-talented enough that they can just master everything and just go on. There's one person who's close to that in at least one way, and that's Concerned Ape developers. But he doesn't have the marketing or PR side of things. He probably doesn't have the business side of things either.
Yeah.
And he just handed all that over to a publisher.
Yep.
Let them do it for him, kind of thing. So not even he, who everybody props up as an example, he does it all, did it all. He's still lacking in two departments, the business and marketing.
And again, he did that in 4 or 5 years of working on that game by himself. And again, like we've said, another one that people like to bring up is Dwarf Fortress. Dwarf Fortress, the developers are living the dreams. They're making the game. They don't care if it makes any money. They're just going to keep working on it. That's not a game studio. You can't,
balancing. That's a hobbyist.
Exactly. You can't be balancing a studio and paying wages and keeping people going on that kind of model.
Yeah, that's just being a hobbyist.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with being a hobbyist. No. Hobbyist is perfectly fine. But being a hobbyist isn't being a game dev. That's being a hobbyist. Well, I mean, a hobbyist game dev. It's not being an indie,
It's not having a business.
Yeah.
And again,
it's not making money.
And like you said, there's nothing wrong with being a hobbyist. We're not, attacking you on that front. But what we're saying is that if you want to take that next step, the amount of work and knowledge you need grows exponentially.
Yeah, like when I originally started, I started as a hobbyist. I was just making a fan game of Final Fantasy in RPG Maker before it got such a bad rap back in 2004. And because that was the only thing I knew that we could use, kind of thing. And I didn't even know we could use that until a friend brought it up, and I didn't even know it existed until that point. But we got so far, and I was like, okay, this has exceeded the point where we can call it a fan game. This is like a huge epic, and we're going to have to sell this and make money. So we're going to have to, swap to being an indie studio, which I didn't even know what that was at that point. But I don't even know if anybody had even coined the term at that point. But I knew that I was going to have to start my own development team and everything. And continue with that. And of course, being young and dumb and not knowing anything about anything in game development back then, I thought I could just go to angel investors and be like, hey, give me a bunch of money. I have no experience. I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. Yeah. But give me a whole bunch of money. I'll make this amazing game. I wish I could go back in time and smack my past self.
Or you can just make a little game, walk to Nintendo and say, I'm an amazing developer, hire me, and I'll make the next Mario game for you.
Yeah.
And like we've said, for everybody who does make it, what could we say there's several hundred developers who don't at this point?
Pretty much nobody does. You have more likelihood of making it in those ways, then you have less chance of making it those ways, then you have the chance of getting struck by lightning 2 times in a row, winning the lottery 10 seconds later, and then getting struck by lightning 2 more times in the next 10 seconds.
And I want to touch on a point you said a few minutes ago about how successful a team can be. Because we have certainly seen some indie developers, some indie companies really rise up over the last 10 years. I would say 2 of the big ones would be Clay Entertainment and Kitfox Games. And they're both making very ambitious titles. They're doing a lot in terms of marketing and getting their name out there. And they've kind of hit that point where I wouldn't say they're at the AA level, but their name, I think, brings a certain level of credibility and reverence to them.
Yeah, I mean, where's the ceiling at? I mean, we haven't found out where the ceiling is because, I mean, in the end, EA and, Konami and all these other big companies, they started off indie too. They were all indie studios
Mm-hmm.
that are still climbing up to the top. We haven't found where that ceiling is. I mean,
And then they went down.
there is a ceiling at some point, but
Yep.
we don't know what that top point is.
Yeah.
We just know that many developers have died before they even got to AA, because we don't have any AA's or AAA's.
Yeah.
And many have stayed indies and whatnot and carried on, as a small scale kind of thing.
Yeah. And I know people are going to comment on, what about Dead Cells, or Slay the Spire, or Celeste, or Disco Elysium? First time games, or like first time from their companies, that blew up in a big way. And like I've said before, my response to that is, so? Like we've said, making one amazing game, sadly, does not mean that you are now a successful business company. We even, like Dead Cells, for instance, if you remember that news, the original game was, I think, made through, crowd sharing or some kind of, very weird business model. That now they're going back to the capitalistic model for, expanding on that game.
I think they were rev share first.
Rev share, okay. And like we said, no matter how great Dead Cells is, it's still not going to, carry the studio for 10 to 15 years. We need to see what they can do after that. And again, this is why, as you said earlier, why many developers never seem to make it to that height or to that ceiling, is that they end up crashing and burning because either A, they don't have any new ideas and they just don't make any more games, or they just keep making bad after bad after bad games that none of them ever compare to their first big winner.
Yeah. Here's an example, the Binding of Isaac. Binding of Isaac was amazing, and then the game after that, what was that? The
Bumbo.
Yeah, and that one was a huge letdown, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that is high up there on my disappointment list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can put all your everything into one game and just really nail it, and then just have nothing left going forward after that point and go out of business.
Mm-hmm. And again, there are some games, as we always say, there are always exceptions. I know Bumbo, they have released multiple patches for it, so it definitely is succeeding, at least for them. For me, though, it was disappointing, but I don't think I was the right market for that one anyway. But we have seen developers who have worked on one game and keep things going. Factorio being a really good example. What were we up to, 8-9 years of development on that one?
I don't think it's been that long, but it has been a long while.
Let's see. When did it start? It began development in 2012. It was released on Early Access in 2016.
And I heard that it's going to go out 1.0, I think, in or less.
Yeah, they're estimating September 25th of this year.
Yeah, it's 6 months away.
Yeah. But like we've said before, just because one developer does it, doesn't mean everybody can do that. Again, the Dwarf Fortress example. There are plenty of developers who have all said, well, Dwarf Fortress was okay, but I can make a better version of Dwarf Fortress. And most of them pretty much crashed and burned.
I've got an analogy. Just because one person can bend backwards to where their head touches the floor while they're still standing up, doesn't mean you can do it. You can try it, and you will probably break your back or something else, or horribly maim yourself. So don't just think that you can do whatever somebody else does, because you can't.
And for a lot of these studios who have survived and lasted, in limbo. I know I can't. You have to be able to look at things long term. And like we said, you have to be able to sit down and say to yourself, realistically, how much money is this game going to cost me? And did I earn enough to keep going after it? And that is a tough question. It's something that a lot of people don't like to ask themselves.
Yeah. There is a kind of general rule that I've kind of learned on that, though.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, if your development cycle is between 1 year and 3 years, you have the most likely chances of success.
Yep.
For that development time. And the reason why is anything below a year, your game just comes out most of the time undercooked, and it's missing features that it should have had. It's missing, art aesthetics. It's missing marketing. It's missing a lot of things, kind of thing, oftentimes. And anything over 3 years seems to be, oh, we're just letting scope creep happen. Oh, our managers have no idea what they're doing.
We have to change our design.
Yeah, we have to change a core gameplay loop 4 years into the development, kind of thing.
And BioWare Magic is not saving you at that point.
Yeah. And, there's any number of problems. I mean, there have been successes outside of the, 1 to 3 years, but I don't know what the actual percentage is, but if I were to guess, I would say out of the ones that succeed, we're only counting successes, not failures here. Out of the ones that succeed, I think that probably 95%, if not more, are in the 1 to 3 years category, and the other 5% or less are in the less than 1 year and the more than 3 years. Yeah. I mean, Stardew Valley is one of those ones that are in the that category kind of thing, but there's not a whole lot of games that fall into that category that are a successful game kind of thing.
Yeah. And again, for some developers, they have succeeded simply by virtue of failing small enough that they're able to keep going until they get that one hit. Like Brigador, by, I think, I forget their name of their studio, but Brigador was a colossal failure for them right out of the gates. But they kept working on, they kept expanding, they kept fixing issues, and eventually that game began to turn around. But if they were banking on that game paying back all the money they lost in the first week or two, they would have been out of business.
Yeah. One of the things my old mentor, Flatch, is that he, fell fast.
Yep.
You're working on your core gameplay loop. If it doesn't work within a certain time period, if it's not working, scrap it. Go with something else. That's more with the the whole prototyping thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the same thing goes if you're doing it in a game design document. If it's not working, then scrap it. Don't spend 3 years trying to get your core gameplay loop down. You need your gameplay loop down right away, pretty much.
Yeah. And to the point about Brigador, it was developed by Stellar Jockeys, and apparently they have a sequel due out this year. So again, they turned things around really well. And we had Jake on several times to talk about how everything kind of went wrong and then kind of improved from there. But again, that took a lot of work, and very few people can have that opportunity to fix a massive mistake.
Yeah. And let's just address the elephant in the room. I've been doing this since 2004, and I have failed so many times. I have yet to succeed, and I have, I'm hoping that will change finally with our next game, but I have done it, so many times for so many years and failed in so many ways. But you learn more from your failures than you do from your successes.
Yeah.
And
I've failed also quite a lot with some of the work, with a lot of my work as well, and I'm finally starting to maybe get to that break-even point right now. We're still not 100% sure. And again, sometimes success is just being able to survive your failures.
Yeah, and if you spend 20 years on a game and you ain't gonna survive that.
Nope. And that's another thing. I've spoken to developers who we talk about this on our show, or we talk about it on the streams. They started designing a game when the market was, very ripe for that specific game. It took them so long to make the game that now the market is overplayed with that genre, and they're left with a game that nobody wants.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at with my current game because, like, right, right now I can see this flood incoming of cyberpunk games, and while our game isn't technically cyberpunk, it's got some cyberpunk to it. It's actually a sci-fi game with 5 different sci-fi genres, one of which being cyberpunk, and that being the glue that holds everything together, kind of thing. But like this wave is coming in of cyberpunk games, and if I don't get my game out in a reasonable time, then by the time I get it out, it's probably going to fail if I don't get it out soon enough.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Again, like this again is another topic we can easily segue into. The consumer doesn't care how long or how much money you spend on your game. They'll people who look at a game that took 10, 15 years in development say, this just looks like some crappy asset flip that was done in 2 months.
Yep. I mean, they said that thing about my last game, pretty much.
And it's, again, like, ultimately, we can just go round and round circles here, but this is a hard industry to make a successful business out of.
Oh, it's extremely hard. Like, like I said before, it's a get poor quick scheme kind of thing. Like, you don't want to ever get into the industry to make money because that is guaranteeing your failure, basically. You only want to enter it if you're really committed and this is what you really, really want to do. And if that is the case, you better, get your expectations into check and everything, know what to expect, and don't get your hopes up, kind of thing. You need to be hopeful, but don't get your hopes up. Don't depend on your hopes. You need to plan for the worst and hope for the best, and so that when you fail, because your first game is pretty much guaranteed to fail, no matter what. It doesn't matter if it's the best game in the world. It is most likely going to fail. There's so little of a chance that you might as well consider it zero chance of succeeding on your first time.
Yep.
So that you need to be prepared for that failure, prepared for probably many, many failures. I've had, 15, 20 years of it, and still haven't succeeded yet. You need to be prepared for that. And if it is truly your dream, if you're willing to go through all that, if you have the money to invest to go through all that, and the talent to invest through all that, then maybe it might be the right career choice for you. But if you're going any other way, like, expecting to get rich, expecting to do it soon, expecting not to have to invest money, expecting any of these things, you're pretty much going to fail. Now, I didn't invest any money pretty much until recently, until the last 2 games. And, I have 15 years worth of failure because of that. Because, you can make a game on a very, very shoestring budget. But making a game for free that will succeed, it ain't going to happen.
Yep.
Making and like I said, even at that, you're still likely to fail. So, and you need a solid team, and finding a team member without paying them is basically impossible.
I mean, unless you pay an exposure, which, as we all know, has a very good monetary conversion rate.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, I need to cash in some exposure with you.
Okay. And, here's my final example, and then we'll begin to wrap it up because we are over, the 2-hour mark here. We can turn to, again, somebody like Jeff Vogue, that I brought up earlier in the stream here. Jeff has been doing this now for, I think we're at 16 years? I think like 26 years he's been doing games for, like 1994. And to some people, they know Jeff Vogue and SpiderWeb software very intimately. To the vast majority of people, they have no idea who the hell he is. And he has succeeded by focusing on that business side of things. He knows not to meet... chances are he is never going to make a game using Unreal 4 or use the Unreal Engine. He's not going to, invest in the highest tier voice actors. He's not going to get, Nolan North or Tower Strong, anyone like that, to voice act in his games. If there is any voice acting, he may just do it himself. Because at the end of the day, he knows that for every dollar he spends making one of his games, that's another dollar he needs to earn back. And he knows his games aren't going to be making Skyrim numbers or No Man's Sky numbers or anything like that. So for him, like several hundred people buying one of his games could be a profit and then some. And like we've said, there is always that case of you get what you pay for. Again, you're not playing a SpiderWeb software game to compete with Fallout. But at the end of the day, in some sense, it doesn't really matter. And again, this is where we get to that safely extreme. If your gameplay is great enough, but at the same time you have to focus, but it also be somewhat visually appealing, somehow you have to get that right balance to get your game to be a winner.
Yeah. And the balance is really hard. And one of the main reasons why he's still able to succeed is because he's built up a fan base and everything. If he started over, if a new developer came in with all of his knowledge and all of his skills and his exact same money as he did, they would probably fail because they do not have his fan base already developed, kind of thing.
Just like as you said with Goat Simulator. If Goat Simulator never happened and somebody tried to do that game right now, most people would just not even give it the time of day.
Yeah, I mean, it would still probably succeed because it would probably still go YouTube viral like Untitled Goose Game and whatnot. But, the fact is back when Goat Simulator came out, it went YouTube viral for every YouTube channel pretty much. Now, it'll just go YouTube viral for like 5% of them, kind of thing, which would mean that they're making 20 times less money for that same exact game. And when I talked about making a game on a shoestring budget, I mean, you can do it. You can spend $100, $200, hire somebody, kind of thing. But you can't expect the world from them. You have to realize that anybody that you're going to be able to find for that kind of money, is going to be a rookie that pretty much has no clue what they're doing, kind of thing. And if you're not there to teach him, and you know yourself, kind of thing, then it's going to suffer. The product's going to suffer. And everything, and you probably don't have the to teach them because you don't. If you did, then you'd probably be doing that thing yourself.
Yep.
So you can do it on a shoestring budget, but you need the knowledge and everything. And, that doesn't even include for their time. Like even $1,000 for a job can be really cheap because I have one right now. I'm paying $1,000, and for the job that I'm paying for and the quantity and everything, I am severely underpaying. It should be a $2,000 minimum kind of thing, and probably more like $3,000 for the job I'm doing. But I was able to find somebody who could do the quality that I need and the quantity I need for the $1,000. But I've also made a deal with them that if we actually do make X amount of money, I will give them a bonus that will make up for that kind of thing, as well as a permanent position going forward as a lead kind of thing. And, you know, there's negotiations in there, and, you know, people have their own motives, and they're not going to, bow to you, for you having a lot of money unless they are really invested. The only reason why I was able to find such a deal kind of thing is because, number one, I was willing to negotiate, just not more upfront because I don't have it. Well, technically it's not upfront, it's in payments, but you know what I mean, set payments kind of thing. I didn't agree to that, but I agreed to more after the release if we are successful. And the fact that these people really believe in my game, they're really invested in my game, they really want to see the game come to life, and you can't have that kind of connection with most people kind of thing. And you definitely can't have that unless you've really spent some work and really have something solid already kind of thing. And, Josh seen how solid Project Triad it was in that first stream. And that was just, right at the beginning kind of thing. That was just our core gameplay loop and everything.
And there are some developers who will keep working on it until, like we said, they're just going to keep trying to get that core gameplay to loop no matter what. And there's a topic and a half about, the pitfalls of working on your dream game that we could certainly turn to in a future piece. But there are developers out there who, like we've said, they've spent 5, 10 plus years on a game. Sometimes those games are abandoned, they may come back to it, or they may not. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to consider what, I've said this before, what is the game I can make versus the game that I want to make? Because sometimes those two are different. You may dream of making the next No Man's Sky, Star Citizen, Minecraft, Stardew Valley game, but can you actually make that game? Or is your collective talent or your combined talent will just make a pixel art idle game?
Yeah. And the thing is a spoiler to that conversation, should you make your dream game? Absolutely not.
Now it's your first game.
Dream, you should not. You should not make your dream game into a well-established developer and have released several games that were successful and more than even kind of thing. You need to have a knowledge and experience and success before you can ever think about doing that dream game. Because I have my own dream game. Project Nexus, it's what I named my company after. It's what, my name is from, Sharky, because that's the main character of Project Nexus. Of course, the main character is not actually a shark, but that's another point entirely. But, everything I have is, I'm focused on making that game, but I'm focused on making that game by getting to the point where I can make that game, by making successful games, many of them, before I can even dream about doing that, because that game is scope level of a AAA game kind of thing. And there, even with my current knowledge, and even if I had all the funds, I couldn't make that game realistically. I don't have the skill level, I don't have the knowledge level, I don't have the experience level, I don't have a lot of things. And I will need many, many years of successful games to get to the point where that becomes a possibility for me. But I am doing everything I can. Everything is focused on getting to that point, Hence why naming the company and myself after that one game. It is my dream game, and the company's named after it, And that's the goal. But it's a far distant goal, and you have to have realistic expectations that you have to, you have to climb your way up the ladder before you can actually get to the top. You can't expect to, just become Superman and just jump to the top of a skyscraper all of a sudden. You have to get good at jumping. You have to practice, play some basketball, get to Michael Jordan levels first, and then get to like superhuman levels, and before you can eventually get to Superman levels of just jumping to the top of the building. But you've got to have reasonable expectations. And also expect that you're going to trip and fall many times in your jumping.
All right, but I think that is a good point to end because we definitely went over our time for this week. But I think we had some really great conversations.
Yeah, I think it's really informative to a lot of people and everything trying to get into the industry. And we didn't even if you want to do hobby game development, do it. You don't need a team, you don't need anything. Just do it, but don't sell it. Don't sell it. That's not a hobby.
Yeah. But with that, we're going to end things for this week. As always, if you'd like to follow me, I'm on Twitter at GWBlazer. We have our Discord and Patreon link down below. And we'll be back next Sunday around 3:30, 4 p.m. EST. For you, Shark, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on my Discord mainly, and you can also find me on Twitter as well as YouTube, and all that stuff is linked down below. And we have our weekly dev chats, which will be next Saturday on our Discord. If anybody wants to join, it'll be Saturday, March 7th at 3 p.m. Central Time, and should be one for the record books.
And we're going to be hopefully having another developer roundtable cast with Ramin, Tomo, and Tim this month. We're still trying to get it all together because the removal of GDC has kind of left a lot of time open. But we will be back, and I'll be back later tonight for our regular game stream. So with that said, thanks for tuning in, and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games. Until next time, take care.